Hey, what's going on? This is Dwayne.
Hey, I'm Ken.
This is Billy, and you're listening to NWCZ Radio, Blackline.
All right, name of that track is Black Ice, and the name of the band is Blackline, and great rockin' band. I'm really impressed with these guys, and I think they have a very cool story, which is one of the reasons I wanted to have them in here. I wanted to talk about their history and just how they basically were together, disbanded, and then years later regrouped. It seems like they're, if I'm reading this right, West Seattle kids, which I spent time in West Seattle. It's a cool place to hang out. Welcome, guys, and welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
So take us to the beginning. You guys are kids hanging out in West Seattle. What part of West Seattle? Where are you guys going to school? What's the story there?
Well, I went to school at Alki and West Seattle High School, and I met Troy shortly after high school.
I grew up over in Burien.
Oh, so you're like you're like the suburb of West Seattle.
Yeah.
The outcast.
Yeah. Well, there's White Center in between, which nobody, we don't talk about that. That's like the no man's land.
No one is from there.
Right. No. Just kind of, you can spend time there, and you might roll through there,
Yeah.
but don't stop for long. I know people who actually live like right there on the line of White Center and say they live in Burien. You have to ask them, oh, yeah, what street do you live on? You're like, you are lying.
That's the truth. That is the truth.
So you guys hanging out in West Seattle. You guys formed some bands. Is that what the deal was? You guys started playing together?
Yeah, well, Ken and Troy had been playing together for a while, and I was playing with some other guy named John Brown, and him and I were in a band together for a while, and that folded, or we got booted, or whatever the story is. And John knew Ken, and so we went over and jammed on that and found a singer and started working on some stuff.
But you guys had some. Tell us the name of the bands, because it looks like you had some pretty good success. You guys are playing like at the Showbox, and you guys are playing at different venues that back in the day probably weren't. They're not that easy to get into.
Yeah, well, that original thing was called White Line. And we ended up playing the Showbox. We played the Eagles Auditorium a few times. Did tons of like hall parties, Fireman's Hall type. Somebody buys a bunch of kegs and
those are the shows
And you're off and running.
that you like to be at.
a lot of good times.
Killer party.
We
just
call them
had
house
cakes.
parties now. Back then it was just in a hall,
Yeah,
like a dorm hall. It could be a hall in a house. It was just a hall party. So very cool. So then everything you guys all went your separate ways? Is that what happened? I mean,
that lasted, I don't know, a year or so, a year and a half, whatever. And just whatever happened, I
takes
don't know.
over.
I think the singer bailed off to New York or something.
Those damn singers.
Yeah.
I'm the singer for Blackline. I'm Billy. I was in a band called Teacher's Pet back in the day. They were in that band. We used to do a lot of shows around town all together.
So
And,
what years are we talking that you guys were the first
in the
go
90s.
around? This is in the 90s?
In the 90s.
And who are you who's on the bills with these shows?
We played with Alice in Chains and Soundgarden and Mother
That's what I
Love
thought.
Bone and Mookie
Nice.
Blaylock and
So you were part
Nirvana
of
and
that.
all the bands that made it out of Seattle. We did shows with them all. And most of the ones that didn't make it out of Seattle are still here, and we're still doing shows with them, and we're having a really, really great time.
Now, take us back to that time, because those were magical times, really, in Seattle. The music scene, before it blew up and everybody, bands took off, and then all the infighting, on all the weird stuff, the fallout. The rise to that.
Seattle changed the world back then with the sound.
Yeah.
So,
Take us back to
Did you feel like you were did you feel it going on around you, or was it just part of the?
I don't think most people knew what was going on when it was going on around them, and then a few years later, kind of looked back and went, "Wow, look, everyone in the world's trying to do this sound."
You guys play like the Rock Candy or the Sit and Spin?
Yeah, we played all of that. Yeah, Under the Rail and
Under the Rail.
the Off Ramp, which is now El Corazon,
right?
And
And hanging out with some of these,
Crocodile.
some of the bands you listed off are obviously part of the what they call like the Seattle Seven or whatever, the ones that just broke out of here. When they were just regular cats lugging in their own equipment, you guys are hanging out. What are some memories you have of these different bands or that time?
Well, a lot of them are still just regular cats hanging out, and you can be sitting right next to them and not really knowing. They're just sitting there, Jerry Cantrell, you could be sitting next to him at the pub.
Yeah.
Just a regular, just a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you said you played with Alice in Chains. Of course, we know Lane Staley.
Yeah.
That's a sad story and all of that. But what do you remember him as a nice cat? Did he seem like he was distant or
He was a very nice guy. He was a very, very, very nice, special guy, special person.
And it probably wouldn't come across well if he talked shit about him now anyway.
No,
so.
I'm just saying.
If he wasn't a nice guy, it probably wouldn't be appropriate to.
I'm not wondering about his personality. I'm just saying, sometimes you look back and you're like, he was all, some of those guys, like a lot of people talk about Kurt Cobain.
Sure.
Who was very much up in his head, kind of aloof.
I didn't know him. I mean, we did a show or two with Nirvana, but I didn't know him at all. So.
Right.
I knew Mike Starr from like way back in high school days. He was a few years behind me, but good friends with a guy that I played with, and
Right.
knew him off and on. We played in the same bands, just switching spots. He'd play bass for a band, and I came in later and played bass for that same band, and he had moved on to the Diamond Lie thing by that time. And
It's amazing how incestuous the whole scene always
Always will be, yeah.
Even before that
Yeah.
scene happened, I grew up on the east side, and over by Crossroads, we had a thing called the Lake Hills Roller Rink. And I saw the Mob, which became Queensryche, and I saw Heart, and I saw...
They did
And this is
Wrathchild.
when I was in
Was that when Hart was
7th
like
grade, maybe 6th grade, just
they
a
were like a
little guy on a
Zeppelin tribute
BMX
band?
bike. And I remember seeing the Mob way back when, and that's when I decided I wanted to be a singer.
So now, when you're seeing this go on, and you were a part of it, and you're honing your skills, and you're coming up with your own sound. Did you draw from any inspiration from what you're seeing around you, or were you like you're trying to find an original sound, your sound? Take us behind the scenes in the songwriting and the music that you guys are laying down.
yeah, I don't know where it comes from. I mean, I grew up listening to, Zeppelin and Kiss and Priest and Scorpions and crap like that, just hard rock, heavy metal stuff in the 70s. And I listen to all kinds of crap now. So, what do you, where are your influences? I mean, they're huge,
Right, but
And we
that
don't-
was
I don't know that
that whole what sort of morphed into the grunge scene, which you guys were part of in the first go around, was something different. Basically, I mean, they were doing like a different. It had been kind of laid, there had been some footprints laid for it, but the reality is, you guys, we're hearing something different because we had just come out of the 80s, with all the techno stuff, and it seemed like it was getting stripped down. Were you guys conscious of that?
The bands like what kind of formed me was Dio and Dickinson and Halford for sure, and then I had the same voice teacher as Jeff Tate and the girls from Heart, so that molds your style to kind of go in that general direction. And I was always metal myself. I enjoyed some grunge, I mean, Soundgarden could be in that category, but that's Chris Cornell. So hey,
Sure.
And so just these guys came together. They had already been writing songs for probably 4 or 5 months and had half a dozen songs done and presented them to me, and we just kind of started working from there. And it was fun. I hadn't seen either one of these guys in 18 or 15 years, whatever it was a long time.
And this is because now we're at about December 2011. Is that right?
Yeah.
When you guys reform and reconnect, and you're like, hey, let's play.
Yeah.
And what's the difference? What do you see the difference now between what you're playing, what you're singing, as opposed to what you guys are doing back then, or is it you're still in the same vibe?
For me, lyrically anyway, my life has been so different that I have a lot more to write about. back in the day, I was writing about getting wasted and girls and
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's the theme,
And
baby.
now I've expanded a little bit more lyrically.
Nice. Well, let's
I like to think.
You've experienced things other than just sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
well, he's had enough of that.
No, he hasn't. No.
Well, let's go on to another track. We're going to listen to, this is titled Sun, and the band is Blackline.
Feel the sun, burning my skin. Feel the sun, burning my skin. Feel the sun, burning my skin. Feel the sun.
Blackline with their song Sun. And I know you're going to want to go see these cats. Here's some opportunities. Let me list them off for you. Saturday, October 6th, excuse me.
What'd you say?
Saturday, October 6th.
October sex.
Always good.
You know, when the sun comes out, man. I'm solar-powered sex machine.
And we've had a long summer.
Yeah.
Awesome. God, it was beautiful again today, too.
Saturday, October number 6, the Benbow Room in Tacoma on Friday the 26th at the Backstage Bar and Grill. November 3rd at Flight's Pub in Everett. And they're going to be at the Hard Rock Cafe Saturday, November 24th. Now, you can go to their Reverb page or just like them on Facebook. We'll have links to all that stuff. And go check them out. And we'll go through those again in a little bit. Now, you guys have been together almost a year now, heading up towards the anniversary date. And I noticed in here it said that you're hoping the release of your first CD is late December or late 2012, something like that.
Hopefully.
Because we're coming on it. How are we doing on that?
Yeah, realistically, it'll probably be February.
Yeah.
But we've got all the drum tracks laid, and we're doing the bass tracks in a week, I believe.
Probably next week.
It's going to be a full.
You need like the band
gonna be
calendar.
five
Five tunes
chart,
going so far.
Right?
Right on.
Like
Right on.
December means February.
Yeah,
February.
Exactly.
I know how it works.
Right on
I know how it
target.
works.
I tell you, I'm going to be there.
Don't we?
The band conversion chart.
It's the musician's calendar.
I tell you, I'm going to be there in an hour. I'll be there in an hour and 15.
Yes.
And it sounds like you guys. Sounds like you guys are getting
And
out
it's
there.
9 inches, I swear.
That's a whole other thing.
Around.
I did not know that was on. That must be on the musician's metric chart.
Yes.
We were talking. Yes.
Canadian conversion.
We were talking about conversions for sure.
It sounds like you guys are getting out there and really getting some good gigs and a lot of live stuff's going on for you. What's compare and contrast maybe what's going on now here in the Northwest at the clubs as opposed to when you guys were rolling in your earlier incarnation?
Well,
The internets.
yeah.
We used to flyer the shit out of everything.
Right, old
we just
school,
go
where
through
you'd
parking lots and
hit
flyer
cars.
every car.
Yes.
And just go to everybody else's shows and pass out flyers and
Handbills.
And nobody does that
doesn't
anymore,
really
so
seem
it would
to-
probably
Wrong.
work really good.
We
now.
do it.
Oh, do you still?
Oh, we're big time on that.
That's awesome.
I get them once in a while, but yeah.
So back then, that was how you had to get the word out. It was, handing
Word of
out
mouth.
stuff on the streets and all that stuff. What about playing in the clubs? There's been a lot of discussion going on these days about we have clubs that are going down, left, right, and center, which is really sad, I think. We also have clubs that are in disputes with bands that are in disputes with clubs. And was that going on back? I assume it was going on back then, or is this just a new thing? Because I will say this, back in those days, in the 90s, I could all those clubs you named, I know I could go to any of those clubs on any given night and kind of know what to expect because they had a crowd. People went to the Hard Rock or people went to the Off Ramp, and they went there because they liked the place and they were kind of. But now clubs kind of expect you to bring the audience.
That's very true.
Yeah.
A lot of times they want you to sell sell tickets to your own show.
Yeah, it's kind of like the LA thing has moved north, where they want you to sell
Have
tickets
you had
up
this
front
too?
and
This is
stuff.
the other LA thing that's going on. I've noticed. I go up to pay to. There's a 3-band bill. And it's a cover of, let's say, $5, and I lay down my $5, and they ask me, "Who are you here to see?"
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, all of them." And you have to pick one. And I'm like, really? And yeah, and then they they put a little mark by whoever you say.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, no, that's happening now, and
interesting.
I'm not digging that.
No, I think the Hard Rock is the only place that we're going to sell tickets to our own show. We just too damn long and don't give a fuck that much. Yeah, we're a good band, and you guys should all come and see us, and we'll have a great time.
Don't give a fuck that much. What does that mean?
Means we're not going to sell.
It's a good band name.
Not going to go out and sell our own tickets, but we'll play.
Yeah,
we'll play a hell of a show.
You're not selling tickets for your Skylark show or any, if you're playing, like somewhere like that. But the Hard Rock that's a heady venue, and they put your name out on the marquee, and it's a very cool deal.
One big difference from way back when and now that I notice is back in the day it was cutthroat. The bands were always like trying to cutthroat each other, and now it seems like the bands are much more friendly, and we work together to try and get people to the show.
It's a do-it-yourself market. We're all helping each other.
Yep.
So it's a lot. It's really enjoyable now, and that's why we're all doing it. It's not.
You got to network and get along to make it work today.
We're just really having a good time, and that goes with the bands we're playing with. We're playing with some really good quality people. So,
who do you like on the scene right now that you enjoy either going to see or playing a gig with?
Well, Mechanism's good buddies of ours. We enjoy playing with, and Tyranny Theory we've known for years, and they're a great band. But there's a handful of really talented musicians out there. Window Pane's an awesome band in the area. And the list goes on and on. Kiss the Gunner's Daughter is a killer band in the area. I could go on and on.
Prelude to a Pistol is.
But we're here to talk about Blackline.
Yeah, oh no, we're definitely here to talk about you guys because the reality is if you're on the bill, you're bringing them all up, right? Isn't that how it works? It's like the show improves if you guys are listed.
Exactly. Would hope so.
Yeah, and it's interesting because with the whole, I find these days with the internet, you mentioned that, and that it's a great tool, Facebook and Reverb and Twitter, all these things. But it's still, where it's still hard work, whereas you may not be out handing out flyers and stuff, but constantly updating, posting, and, inviting people to venues and events and all these things. How is that? Is that taxing on you guys? You guys just want to get back to the music, or do you already have somebody doing that for you?
We just got a manager.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, like a week ago.
Yeah,
Nice.
We got someone who's helping us out a lot, and Paulie Osborne, and it's always a fine line between how many times you invite someone to when you're getting annoying. Because we all get some people who just invite. Yes, I know you're playing. I know, but so I think for me personally, I do it. Once when we get the show, maybe 2 months in advance, and then a week or 10 days before the show, I'll do it one more time, and then if you want to go, you'll go. If you don't, you won't.
Okay, so I get an invite to the Blackline show. I come out. You guys are hitting the stage. What am I seeing? What do you guys? What do you bring to your live show? What makes you stand out? What's unique about you guys?
Any nudity?
Lead singer.
Yeah, I'm always taking something off. That's for sure. We bring a really intense set. We're really tight, and everybody excels at what they do, I think. And so we're able to just play on it and just have a really fun time.
Because some bands feed off the crowd, and some bands feed the crowd.
Some metal is really like intense, like right in your face, and some of that's great, But I think when people come to see a Blackline show, I want them to have a good time, and I want people to smile and
just
get
a
into the
heavy
music.
drinking crowd. That's what I'm saying.
That's
usually
always good. Yeah.
Nice, yes.
Yeah.
I use a wireless mic, and I usually jump off the stage and I run around and meet people. And if you're sitting there with an ugly mug and you're not happy at the world, I'm going to sit down at your table and sing to you.
Nice.
And,
So everybody come with a smile.
hey, not everybody smiles. Some people stay ugly and, mad at the world. But most people smile and have a good time, and that's what I want.
Ever had any mishaps jumping out into the crowd? You're running around with your mic. It's always a fun. We were at a show last night where the lead singer, jumps down, runs around, and they even had some wireless. I think it was a bass or whatever. And I've seen mishaps. Have you ever had one? If so, tell us what it was.
I've been doing this a while, so yeah. I'm recovering from a sprained ankle last October at Hell's Kitchen, and in another band I was in, and.
Oh, you came off the stage at Hell's Kitchen down on the floor?
Yeah, it didn't hurt till the next day, so it's all good. I didn't fall down immediately. It was good. But, the show must go on. Oh yes, it is.
For those who haven't been to Hell's Kitchen, there's the stage and then you have there's those two. They're not too high, but the risers on the right and the left.
Right.
Where usually the guitar player or whatever jumps up on there. I've seen guys tumble off of that.
No, I landed on. I did like the David Lee Roth thing, I guess. But
Nice.
I didn't fall down and break my chin.
Now back to the musical process, because what we're hearing I think is fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to when you guys drop your EP. Yeah. I hope we'll get a copy of it because we're going to play the crap out of it.
Cool, man. Thanks.
One thing about us is we've got a ton of new material right now. We've got the stuff that's online. It's I think 4, 5, or 6 songs you can listen to, but we've got another 10 songs that are fresh that we're doing a lot of those at our our live shows.
Yes.
So we've got.
You're right.
If you come to our show, you're not going to hear the same songs show after show after show.
You do have 6 songs on your
You come to
Reverb.
these three or four shows that we've got listed now. You're going to hear 3 or 4 different songs. Every time we play, you're going to hear some of the same and something you didn't hear before.
So take us through the songwriting process. Do you guys? Is it a collaborative thing? Does somebody bring an idea in and then it goes through all of you, or is one a principal writer? How does that work for your band?
Dwayne and I are probably the principal writers as far as music goes. One of the two of us usually comes up with an idea, and then me and Dwayne will usually record it with just a metronome drum track or something. Have Billy over, he writes lyrics, and then Troy puts drums to it, and that's pretty much the way it's gone.
And you say
formula.
Your lyrics have grown over the years, and you're finding. Did this happen naturally? Or did you take some writing courses, or is it just it's like there's just more material available to you?
Well, I've been in bands since I was in junior high, so I've been writing material for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I've read a lot. I've read books about how to write, but it's an art, so you can, it's a great thing about music is you can do whatever you want. If that's what you mean to do, then that's what it is. People either like it or they don't, but it's like throwing paint on the wall, that's your artistic expression.
There's no right or wrong.
Yeah, and just, I've just been through, like most people, more shit, so you have more to write about, and I read a lot. I draw a lot of my lyrics from, things I've read. I enjoy reading, and I find that helps a lot when you're trying to come up with original ideas.
Very good. Well, October 6th, you can check out Blackline at the Benbow Room. On Friday, October 26th, they're here in T-Town at the Backstage Bar and Grill. Saturday, November 3rd at Flight's Pub in Everett. Saturday, November 24th at the Hard Rock in Seattle, which I think that's a great room. And that's always a fun place to go see a show. I'm going to mark that on my calendar. That's got to be getting close to Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving weekend, the Saturday Thanksgiving weekend.
Right on.
So.
That'll be great. So everybody, no excuses, folks. You have the weekend off. Get out there and see a rock and roll show. How would you define your music? How do you, if somebody comes to you and says,
ouch,
you're in a band, what do you guys play?
Hard rock.
Loud.
As loud as possible.
It's.
We like to turn it to 11.
Kind of like riff-fueled 70s rock, hard rock.
So you wouldn't put it in the metal category?
It's on the edge.
It's on the edge.
Just on the edge.
So you take.
I don't know, man. If you like Dio and Halford and Priest and
yeah,
Dickinson,
you'd like it,
definitely have some Priest-leaning vocals. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
and
a lot of that influence.
Yeah, it's very cool, and some Iron Maiden too. You've got some incredible pipes,
and
man.
some Johnny Cash.
Hey, Bell, Ding, Johnny Cash. We all
get on.
Gotta love that. So, well, hey guys, thanks so much for coming in, we're looking forward to the EP dropping, and we'll have you guys back in. We'll talk about it and play the tracks and so forth.
Thanks for having us.
Everybody get out and check them out. The list is on their Reverb page. It's on their Facebook page. Give them a like. Follow them. We're going to get out of this interview with Dirty Bomb. The band is Blackline. Check them out. Like them. Go see them.
All we want is to be liked.